Hello, and welcome back to Blueprints. I'm going to try to talk and move at the same time. It has been a couple of weeks since I played now, but I am pretty sure that I'm trying to do a speed run, so I'm going to go ahead and take these. These are going to be really helpful. At least the keys. I'm going to ignore the coupon book for now because I don't want to sit through that long animation. And I have plenty of coins to go around, so not really worried about that. My plan for this is to first of all, I think I'm better equipped because I have the king as my piece. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and get the secret garden and pull whichever lever is active in here. The plan is to gather 5 gems on my way up to the top. I should have taken note of which lever that was. Whoops. I think it may have been the east lever, actually. It doesn't actually matter because as I'm making my way up, I'm going to gather 5 gems, and once I hit 5, I'm going to change my color to black so that, let me grab this, so that I can get the throne room, which will allow me to open the north lever without having to go through insane amounts of the basement. So that's the plan. Gems are in a box with the longest word. Longest is the longest word. Gems are in the box with the shortest word. A is the shortest word on a box. That one could be completely true. There are words on the box with the gems. This box does not contain the gems. This one could also be completely true. Let's say this one is completely true. That would mean the gems could be in here, or they could be in here. This one would have to be completely false. Well, no. If the gems were in here, this one would be partly true, partly false, which means this one would have to be completely false, which is not the case. This one can't be completely false. So it's possible the gems are in here, actually. I'm hoping that's the case because I just spent a lot of my time on this. But it'll get me to 5 gems. Okay. Yes, that is good. Now we just need to make our way upwards while spending as few gems as possible, maybe getting some along the way if we can. That'll work. Also, at some point I will want to change my color to black, but I might want to wait until we kind of get a little further up. Sure, we'll use that. That's fine. Spare bedroom would be great. And maybe about right here is where I'll want to change my color. So I'll go ahead and do that. Because there aren't that many black rooms to begin with. Ooh, I will need some keys though. That's going to be tough. Let's go ahead and do that. The key situation is not something I really thought about. Obviously. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Any keys? Any keys? No? Okay. Let's go ahead and open this. And yes, it was the east door. So, let's see if any of these are unlocked. They are. Oh, shoot. Okay, that's fine. Maybe we can get some more gems and maybe still get a locksmith. 4 statements on boxes in this room are true. A box with 1 false statement contains gems. A box with a true statement contains the gems. This box does not contain the gems. Honestly, I don't know, and I kind of want to just keep going. We're gonna see if I can. Okay, that's something. Ooh. None of these are good. A key. Okay, that's something. It's not going to get me that far, though. Right. That's good. I mean, let's just go with that. That's locked. Okay. I don't see a key in here right off the bat. And I don't actually have places to put anything else. Okay, I think I was fairly close that time. I actually don't know how long I've been recording, so I have no idea how long this run has been. Is there a clock in here? I'd like to find a clock and look at it so I can see. No, that's a painting. How much time I had left. Oh, I have this way, but I can't get to the east door from here. But I might be able to get a key. Nope, it's locked. Clock anywhere? Somebody tell me the time, please. Nobody wants to do that. Oh, I had so much time left. Man. Okay, I felt more rushed that time, but I think that plan is really good. I just need to maybe spend a little bit more time getting keys and stuff. Or have a way to have more keys at the beginning. Which I could do with a clock tower in the previous day. Yeah. I'm thinking it's definitely way more doable this way. Because I mean, I've still got quite a bit of time left at this point. Yeah. Yeah, plenty of time. So, I think that's a good plan going forward. Have Blessing of the Monk, start with the Secret Garden, have Banner of the King. Once you have enough gems, just choose black so that you can get to the north lever without having to go all that way through to the sanctum. So, oh, and I have the entrance hall passageways too. Probably could have been using this time to use those. That's okay though. I mean, sure, we can do mailroom. That's fine. I'm not really putting a lot of stake into this run anymore. So I'm fine with some dead ends down here. I wish I could afford Treasure Trove, but I cannot. This does give me a key, actually. I wonder if I had been quick enough to realize that I could draft down here, if I could have made it. I don't necessarily want to think about that, though. Plenty of stabs. I'm not going to eat. This one, the one at the top is unlocked, or is locked, so I can use my key on that. Let's go ahead and see what happens when I do. And I might want to go ahead in the future. I might want to go ahead and draft rooms down here first, even though I'm going up, just to get some resources. I think that was silly that I didn't do that. Okay, none of these are actually pointed towards the antechamber, so it may not have worked out after all. I'll go ahead and put this here, and if I can get another key, then maybe that would be good. But I'm not sure how likely that is. I bet this one's locked. And I bet the other one's locked too. Yep. Okay. So all in all, the beginnings of a good idea with a pretty flawed execution, but that's okay. Yeah, we'll call it a day here. That's fine. And we'll just move over straight on to the next day. Quaint castle. Oh, because I have a throne room, but like barely anything else. That's kind of funny. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and continue. Right, what have I been thinking about in regards to blueprints? A lot of what I've been thinking about was just that strategy, which I think is a good starting point. So I'm happy with that, at least. And other than that, I've been watching some of my old videos just to get refreshed on some things. I went back to make sure I knew which page of a new clue that I'm supposed to be focusing on because I didn't actually write it down. And now at this point, it's been probably a couple months since I actually read that blue memo. So I wrote that down. So I'm looking at page 6 of that. And outside of that, I'm not sure I have figured very much out. So we're going to start with this. That looks pretty good. Lockpick kit probably would have been helpful in the last run, but that's okay. How much you can do to control that. And then, yes, let's go do an outer room. And I don't even remember where I called it a day. Hallway. Okay. Don't necessarily want to do that here. So what should I do instead? Root cellar really just has the dig spots, which is fine, but not necessarily anything crazy. Let's do tool shed, because I tend to like the items that I get in here. They're pretty good ones. Nice. Alrighty. So, what I want to do from here is, I guess, just keep going. I did get a comment on one of my videos that said basically just like, read everything. Read it again. You never know what you may have missed the first time that you have more context for now. And that stuff might be clues that help you. So, I will be reading everything. Probably out loud, just to let it sink in. So here's what letter I got after reaching room 46 for the first time. Dear Baron, welcome to Mount Holly, your home. I still remember the first time I was addressed by my title. I was quite a bit older than you, but it still felt strange, especially after a lifetime of hearing my father addressed daily by that same title. But life is a journey of growth, growing up, growing older, growing wiser, and in our case, growing into the Baron of Reddington. The Baron doesn't have to be a daunting figure. He could be quiet and unassuming, or loud, brash, and boisterous. He could be deceptive or trustworthy, humble or boastful, or any measure of other things, but always clever. When I inherited Mount Holly, I never had to prove myself. They just gave me the keys and left it at that. It felt too easy, too trivial, and very undeserved. Experience comes with time, but without validation, I spent the better part of my youth questioning myself. And as I grew older, that lack of conviction and aimlessness amplified. I never really had any goals or objectives to strive toward. I never had any dreams to realize. I never set my sights on something beyond the horizon. I never had a room 46 to reach. And now that you have reached your goal and are basking in your well-deserved glory, shiny trophy in hand and showered with accolades and titles, will you be content to stop there, or will you look to the horizon and wonder what dreams lie ahead? Oven Navarre, Herbert S. Sinclair. Oven Navarre means to the north, a new future. I'm not sure if I've ever looked at this with a magnifying glass. I can't imagine there's anything hidden on it, but if there were, it would probably be in that logo up there. There's also the stamp. Maybe I have looked at it with a magnifying glass, actually. Also, the only word on this letter that's capitalized is inheritance. I don't know if that's significant or not. Inheritance. Alrighty. Speaking of reading, I've got a few things I can read here. Why is there no room 1 in my directory? Why is there no room 1 in my directory? I guess technically because I removed the foundation from my drafting pool with the repellent spray, that may have actually taken it out of my directory completely. I think that's what room 1 is. Yes. Okay, so I can't read that one. That's fine. Entrance hall. Past the steps and beyond the grand doors, admission to Mount Holly is granted by way of a dark and garish lobby, suitably called the entrance hall. From here, each guest's adventure begins. However, the 3 doors that proceed onward do not always lead to the same adjoining rooms. Very true. Spare bedroom. Used to be spare room, but now has a different everything. An unfurnished, unfinished, and otherwise unremarkable empty room. The few strokes of violet paint that were applied before the abandonment of this project seem to imply this room's intended use as a bedroom. One of my regrets, not really regrets, but just one of those things that I have definitely, almost certainly, permanently missed out on, in this run at least, in this playthrough, is that I did not get to read the blue memo for the spare room, because it is now purple. Rotunda. A circular chamber with a domed ceiling adorned with an array of mechanical gears. In the center of the room, a stone podium serves as a central pivot point for the chamber's true purpose, rotation, a fitting function for a room named Rotunda, which means clockwise room in Arajan. Ooh, okay. Clockwise room, interesting. I think the ROT is what means clockwise, based on the map that I saw in Classroom 4. And Tor would mean counterclockwise. Yeah. Trying to figure out how that factors into the castle puzzle, but I'm still kind of coming up blank on that. And so if ROT means clockwise, does UNDA mean room? Trying to think if I've seen UNDA anywhere else. Not that I can think of. But you know what? I'll write it down. I'll at least write down that Rotunda is a Rajan for clockwise room, because that's really interesting. Rotunda, clockwise room. It's good to know. All right, see, I'm already learning stuff. Parlor. This cozy lounge, furnished with couches and armchairs, serves as a perfect social setting for receptions and after parties. Consequently, this was one of the most popular rooms for entertaining, and the late H.S. Sinclair was known to supply a myriad of parlor games to encourage his guests to think and conversate. Yep. I have a feeling that's the same description as before. Break room, a dimly lit staff break room equipped with a comfortable lounge area, a coffee snack station, and a collection of billiard games for the staff to ponder over. This cozy space served as a 15-minute haven for employees seeking a brief escape from their daily tasks. A 15-minute haven, yeah, I guess 15-minute break, standard. Okay. I'm trying to decide if it was the same comment that said that, and this was after I had already solved room 8, but they said that all the puzzle rooms have the words of the paintings in them. So this one has ponder. This one, I guess, has think. Yep. This one has realize, and this one must have ruminate. Yes. That's fun. Gallery, a small chamber dedicated to the exhibition of art, ideal for showcasing smaller series and collections. Before his passing, H.S. Sinclair personally selected the artwork that was displayed here each year, purposefully omitting the composition titles to leave the interpretations of each piece for the viewers themselves to realize. Yep. So it used to be an annual thing. I think I probably had read that before. Unsurprisingly, Key 8 unlocked a door leading to a familiar-looking room, a cryptic room that had been previewed in the final 8-letter artwork exhibited in the gallery. It is now time to ruminate over the bins, sins, and pins contained within. Yes. Cool. Yeah, I don't think there's anything very revelatory there. Hallway closet. Very modest recessed space used for storage. This particular closet is favored by the junior members of the staff who utilize it to stash away assorted articles and knickknacks whose proper place in the estate is yet unknown to them. Okay. Walk-in closet. The stylish and smart clothes in this generously sized closet belong to the former mistress of the estate, Lady Epson. Though the small dressing room has not been used in many years, it is nevertheless kept up and preserved in the state you now find it. Yep, that makes sense. Attic. High above the mansion in its lofty perch. Mount Holly's attic provides curious explorers with a cache of dusty keepsakes, trinkets, and clues from a long-forgotten past. Yep, sure does. Storeroom. The dedicated storage space filled from end to end with a surplus of chairs, carpets, paintings, and a handful of other things that had at one time been in vogue and on display in other rooms of the house. Yep. Okay, breakfast nook. A snug corner reading room which serves as a quiet, private place for guests to spend a few hours of their afternoon away from the hustle and bustle of the staff. Sounds like probably the same description as the nook. Garage. Entering and exiting out through the west-facing private drive, the garage serves as a more practical and informal entrance point to the estate. Yep. Music room. A small recital hall, providing an ideal setup for musical performers and accompanists. It is not uncommon for at least a few recitals and performances to be held in this intimate setting each year. Cool. Locker room. This poolside locker room is, of course, not always poolside, but it is much more convenient for guests when it is, and much less annoying for the servant who must follow the dripping swimmer across the house searching for their locker. Interesting. I wonder if there's like a benefit to having this actually be next to the pool. Maybe. I'll have to think about it. Den, a more traditional family room, warm and inviting, so comfortable one might assume that the countless clocks surrounding the sofas are placed in a futile attempt to avoid inevitably wasting the entire day here. I did think recently about, like, should I count the clocks that are in the den? Would that be helpful at all? Maybe. Wine cellar. A short staircase leads down to this below-ground cellar, revealing an impressive collection of bottles from every respectable vintage of the last 200 years. To the seasoned wine aficionado, the labels displayed here would indicate a preference for prioritizing extravagance and rarity over quality. Yeah, interesting. Trophy room. The polished brass of the treasured laurels filling the trophy cases of this room reveal the pride their owner must feel having earned them. Achievement is its own reward, but a gold cup is also nice. Very true. Ballroom. An opulent hall with a polished mirror floor. In the old days, numerous balls and dances were held in this splendid room. However, as he aged, the Baron began to prefer private parties in the parlor over the grand formal receptions of his youth. Pantry. A well-stocked pantry is always the true test of a large estate, and keeping Mount Holly's wide gamut of ingredients and supplies stocked has always been one of the primary priorities of the house staff. Rumpus Room. A uniquely modern-fashioned gaming room. The Rumpus Room has provided many guests of the estate with countless hours of recreation. The room is outfitted with a record player, 2 television sets, a collection of board games, and a mysterious antique fortune-telling automation named Alzara. I wonder if Alzara's name means something specific in Arajan. Let me look at my translation notes again, just to see if any part of that looks like it might be something specific. I don't think so. Not that I can tell, anyway. Okay, interesting. Vault. A secure on-site depository fitted with steel walls and numbered lockers. This fortified strong room holds a good portion of the Sinclair fortune, despite the fact that several inventories have led accountants to assume the true legacy is hidden elsewhere. Okay. Office. The late Sinclair's personal home office, a room he used exclusively for business affairs and the running of the estate, a task he took increasingly more satisfaction in overseeing in his later years. Okay. Drawing room, a social sitting room adorned wall to wall with artwork and drawings. An unfinished sketch of your uncle sits on an easel in the middle of the room, providing a vivid image of what were presumably his final days, depending on when the project was abandoned. Interesting. Okay. Study. After the passing of the Baroness Arave, her private study was claimed by her eldest son, Herbert Sinclair. For years, he immersed himself in the countless notebooks she left behind, drawing inspiration from her discarded ideas. From mechanical puzzles to architectural blueprints, each endeavor he pursued in this room was realized in the shade of her creative legacy. That's pretty interesting that it's a lot of like his interest with like puzzles and stuff came from Baroness Arave. Library. 2 stories of wall-to-wall books surround the reader in this room, exhibiting either a bountiful spring of knowledge or typical interior design sensibilities of the wealthy. A few books have been withdrawn from the shelves and placed on rostrum stands in various corners of the library. Yeah, I'm still kind of suspicious about the blank books that are in the corners, especially since we have something related to blank books. Reflections of reflections. This confusing room can sometimes prove disorienting to the wayward guest. However, upon closer inspection, they quickly realize that viewing this room from more than one perspective is key to unraveling its secrets. Yes. The pool. An indoor Orindian pool was one of the more modern additions to the state, the inclusion of which provided a convenient excuse for building a handful of other rooms which not only complement an indoor pool, but are often compulsory inclusions. I'm curious about, like, it's an Orindian pool that's a modern addition. I guess they mean, like, it was added more recently, and not that the idea of the pool itself is, like, a modern idea. Because if something's Orindian, that would kind of imply that it's at least 22 years old. Well, not 22 is how long the war lasted. I actually don't even know when it ended, but probably at least like 3 generations ago, right? Drafting studio. As an architect and engineer, it was not uncommon to find your great uncle spending the better part of his weekends here at a drafting table with T-square and compass in hand. Over half of the floor plans of Mount Holly were conceptualized, refined, and drafted in this studio. Utility closet. One benefit of the restoration of old buildings is that it allows the owners to update and add modern amenities. The utility closet and the circuit breaker box within were set up when gas-powered lighting was retired and replaced by a more fashionable home electrical system. Boiler room, a utility room serving as a central hub for controlling the heating and steam power supplied to various rooms of the estate. Steam power is conveyed in the estate through steam ducts that run through select rooms. These floor plans must be drafted in an alignment that will facilitate the steam traveling through the house to reach its intended destination. Yep, that's how that works. Pump room. This facility, dedicated to the filtration and flow of water throughout the estate, houses 5 water pumps and 3 oversized tanks. The pump room can be utilized for a number of maintenance tasks, from draining the pool to activating the sprinkler system. Okay. That makes sense. 5 water pumps and 3 oversized tanks. Why do I feel like that's not correct? Aren't there 6 pumps? Sorry, 5 water pumps. Are there 5? Yeah, there are 5. Yes, because the pumps are the things that you have to switch on and off, or towards the tank or towards the water source. And there are indeed 5 of those. Okay. Security, a control room with state-of-the-art surveillance equipment, inventory system, and access control via an electronic computer terminal. This room is where the estate's patrol guards kick up their feet and thank their stars they are living in a modern era. Yep. Workshop. Springs, screws, and coils scattered atop the workbench show signs of this room's frequent use. A craftsman's studio dedicated to creativity and invention, this room was used by your uncle regularly whenever he needed to fix or improve a gadget or contraption. And a laboratory, a fully staffed research facility furnished with all manner of scientific equipment and measurement devices. This home laboratory provides a controlled environment in a remote location, far from prying eyes and traditional safety regulations. Yep. Okay, sauna. A traditional wood-lined Kurarikan-style sauna, temperature-controlled and exceptionally relaxing. The invigorating effects of this room will leave you waking up the next day feeling rejuvenated. Yes. Coat check. A cloakroom where guests may leave their coats, bags, or hats in exchange for a claim ticket. This floor plan was usually drafted adjoining the entrance hall during larger social events such as a ball or gala. Why is drafted italicized? Adjoining the entrance hall during larger social events such as a ball or gala. Do I need to do that? Put coat check right next to the entrance hall? Have I done that before? Feels like something that I would have done by now, but I guess I can't be entirely sure. Well, I can be entirely sure by looking back, actually. And you know what? I know where I am, so why not check? No pun intended. No. There's one on day 97. I don't feel like anything particularly special happened when I did that. Huh. Not sure. Anyway. Right, we were here. Yeah, that one seems interesting. Yeah, not sure. Anyway. Mailroom, a dedicated mailing room in which incoming and outgoing post and packages are sorted and then delivered within the estate to their intended recipients. Now with no contact delivery. Yes. One of the best upgrades I've gotten, probably. Freezer, dedicated to deep freeze and cold storage. Mount Holly's freezer is an insulated space kept almost as frigid as the snowy mountains of Kurarka. Sustaining a sub-zero temperature is vital for keeping the items in this room under ice. Yep. I wonder if they mentioned Kuraraka to like directly connect it to the sauna, so that you might have the idea to like put them near each other. Dining room, an intimate and warm room with a large dining table boasting a serving tray with a silver dome cover. Dinner is served here each evening. Okay. Observatory, housing an impressively large telescope, Mount Holly's observatory is a window to the world above and beyond the clouds and sky. Through its mirrored lens, even a novice stargazer will be able to distinctly appreciate the wonder, signs, and constellations that punctuate the tapestry of night. Yes. 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, thought I heard somebody arriving at the house, but that was just my imagination. Yes, I was right here. Okay. Conference room. In his latter years, H.S. Sinclair had become withdrawn from public life and conducted all business from the comfort and privacy of home. This included the occasional board meetings which were held in the professional setting of this room. Okay. Electric Eel Aquarium. In addition to having a bouquet of colorful fish, each tank in the aquarium is also inspired by the decor and colors of the various types of rooms found throughout the estate. That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about... I was like, why have the bedroom stuff in the one tank and the hallway stuff in the other tank if they're not used for hints? I don't know why it didn't occur to me that because this room represents every color, the different decors in the tanks are meant to represent the different types of rooms. Anyway, the new addition of electric eels is an electrifying upgrade, making this room feel much more powerful, literally. Yes. Alrighty. There's 5 tanks and there's more room types than that. But that's okay. Yes. Cool. Okay, and I feel like I've read these two several times, but I'll do it. Antechamber, from its root, meaning the room before. And that's probably not Arajan. I think that's just like Latin or something. Or Greek, maybe. All signs and paths point toward the antechamber. This mysterious sealed room, resting on the 9th rank, may prove, however, quite an initial challenge to even reach, let alone enter. Still, you can't help but draw a connection between this chamber and room 46. Yep. Okay. And room 46, the mysterious room mentioned in H.S. Sinclair's will, named only by a number. Despite the house's official blueprint only showing a total of 45 rooms, the words of the legal document make it apparent that a 46th room in the house, in fact, exists. Finding this room is your primary objective while on the estate. It is, after all, your bequest. And bequest is italicized. I wonder if there is like a pattern of italicized words that I have missed. We may never know because that one says rotunda. Okay. Just gonna look through all these and see if I see any italicized words that pop out at me. Always. Okay, so we have rotunda and always. I think I might be onto something here. Because some of the rooms, some of the words that were italicized seemed completely unnecessary in context. We have rotunda, we have always. I wonder if there's one on each page, actually. Or improve. Doesn't really seem to make any grammatical sense, so maybe I'm not onto something. Drafted. So we have rotunda, always, or improve, drafted. Sorry, I just want to double check that one. Let's see. The room before. Rotunda, always, drafted. The room before. Bequest. Not sure. Bedroom, a familiar room that you may have slept in at some prior visit in the past. Like most bedrooms of the estate, these quarters offer you little rest and recuperation during your long days exploring the surrounding rooms. Two very different meanings if you don't put the A in there. Boudoir, a private salon with a plethora of fainting couches and chaise lounges. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I probably should by now, but that's okay. That served both as a dressing room for her ladyship in the mornings and a cozy sitting room for her in the evenings. Quest bedroom, a small bedroom maintained and kept available for accommodating weekend guests and impromptu visitors who find themselves compelled to stay the night. That seems like it's probably the same as guest bedroom. Nursery, one of the few rooms you vividly remember from your visits here in your youth, though even at that time you remember feeling a little old for the activities provided here. The twin cribs found in this room might suggest that at one point in time there had been some hopeful expectations of a sudden growth of the family tree. Interesting. I mean, the Baron himself did have a brother, so it's not entirely out of the question that this was for them, but I don't know. Servants' quarters, a cold, empty room devoid of ornamentation and personal effects. The suspiciously humble bedroom belonged to the Baron's personal valet, Hartley Ruota, who had unchallenged access even to the most clandestine areas of the estate. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Bunk room. The rustic, wooden stacked bunk beds evoke the enticing promise of campfire stories and childhood adventures. This bedroom served as pillow fort and bedroom to the young Sinclair boys and has remained faithfully unchanged over the years. Her ladyship's chamber, tucked quietly away in the west wing of Mount Holly, is the decorative bedroom of your grandmother, Lady Epson, the style you find unique in the house, a fitting tribute to her childhood home in Araja. Yes. Very purple. Master bedroom, H.S. Sinclair's own room, though perhaps soon you may consider it your own. Yep. Were any of those italicized, actually? I don't think so. Sorry to do this again, even though I just read them. But I just want to be thorough. Hallway, one of the many nondescript hallways snaking through the estate and providing elegant causeways between the more noteworthy destinations that the house has to offer. West Wing Hall. The west wing of the estate has been closed since the death of Lady Epson. It is unsurprising, therefore, that this hallway in its neglected state features boarded windows and dust-smothered furniture. Yep. East Wing Hall. This fenestrated hallway, I'll have to look up that word, I don't know what it means, overlooks the east side of the estate grounds and is warmed in the early day by the light of the rising afternoon sun. Now, what does fenestrated mean? That is one thing I'm okay with looking up, it's just definitions of normal words. Fenestrated, having windows. Interesting. Actually, did I kind of already know that? Yes. Because I knew the word defenestration. Which means to like throw out of a window or to fall out of a window. So fenestrated just means it has windows. Interesting. Okay, corridor. A long hall with two doors at either end that had been one of your uncle's most frequently traveled rooms. Consequently, he had left strict instructions with the household staff that the doors of this corridor should never under any circumstance be locked. Why was it one of his most frequently traveled rooms? Interesting. Okay. Okay, I will have to be right back. Okay, let's keep going. Right, corridor always unlocked, frequently traveled, kind of weird. Passageway, a long, cramped series of unfinished passages used primarily by the servant staff to traverse the estate quickly. Makes sense. Secret passage, a small dead-end room with an ordinary bookcase that exemplifies that the best means to escape the confinements of our world has always been through books. Very nice. Foyer, the grand Baroque hall of Mount Holly, is impressive to behold. This ornamented passage is flanked with marble pillars and features bust statues of the more prominent figures of the Sinclair family legacy. Interesting. I wonder if they're all like related to the Sinclairs in some way. Great Hall, a room of many doors and even more choices. The Great Hall is unquestionably the largest hallway of the house, but it is also the least useful, for the doors lining its walls are always locked. Perhaps for a reason. The doors why is lining in quotes? Weird. Okay. Green rooms. Terrace. A terrace balcony overlooking the grounds, providing an ideal spot for appreciating all the verdure and greenery that the estate offers. Yep, Patio, a roofed outdoor seating area located along the perimeter of the estate. During the summer evenings, it is not unusual for the grill to be employed while entertaining acquaintances of a more informal nature. Okay. Yep, makes sense. Courtyard, a charming spot granting guests a bit of fresh air and open skies within the privacy of the manor walls. You can't quite put your finger on it, but this room now really reminds you of the corridor. Yes. I wonder why. Cloister of Joya, a covered walk and colonnade surround an enclosed and seemingly inaccessible garden. A statue of Joya, the paragon of cuisine. Ooh, I don't think I have that written down. I have other paragons written down. Probably just the one. I have Paragon of Ash written down for Vea, which may or may not be accurate. Not sure. But we do know now that Joya is Paragon of Cuisine. Cool. Surely they have somewhere where you can find all, throughout the game I should be able to find all of the Paragon titles. But it's crazy that I've only found 2, maybe 3, and I just forgot to write one down. I don't know. Anyway, a statue of Joya, the paragon of cuisine, has been emplaced here as a celebration of the exceptional work of Chef de Camp and the kitchen staff, whose delicious dishes never fail to get you back on your feet. Cool. Veranda. This relaxing breezeway serves as an ideal spot for rocking chairs and lemonade. Fair enough. Greenhouse. This room is always warm as its glass walls and roof help to retain the sun's rays. The gardener, however, should be scolded, for the soil here is dry and the flower beds are devoid of all signs of life. Gotcha. So that was the sprinklers were initially off in there. Then I rerouted water to them. So now the soil is healthier. Morning room. The best thing to go with breakfast is a morning newspaper and a coffee. I guess that's true for certain people. Secret garden. A floor plan so secretive that it had been removed from the drafting pool to avoid anyone unwanted accidentally stumbling upon it. This secluded garden, flanked by a variety of Moragi fruit trees, has served as a private retreat to at least 2 other generations of Sinclairs. Okay. Did that have any italicized words? No, I don't think any of them did. Shops. Commissary. The staff commissary is always stocked with household goods and supplies at a reasonable cost. This provides the servants of the estate an invaluable service, especially to the live-in staff who may only expect to leave the property once or twice a month. Kind of crazy. Kitchen. A standard kitchenette with all the typical amenities: a stove, refrigerator, oven, and sink. This gallery is where the cooking staff prepares the daily cuisine that will later be served in the dining room. Locksmith. Considering the amount of floor plans and different doors that can appear on any given day, it was only a matter of time before a full-time locksmith service became an essential requisite on the estate. Yep. Showroom. An array of jewelry display cabinets showcasing an impressive selection of high-priced items, each unique and one of a kind. This exclusive collection is not for the faint of purse. Very true. Laundry room. A standard hub of domestic toil, complete with washers, dryers, and a state-of-the-art steam-powered unit leveraging the newly installed steam ducts leading from the boiler room. Despite its innocent appearance, this inconspicuous space is rumored to launder more than just linen. Yep, launder money. But in a weird way. Bookshop. This cozy little bookstore is often tucked away in the more secluded corners of the estate, giving guests little opportunity to appreciate the curated selection of equally rare books it offers. Titles purchased in the bookshop will be automatically added to the library's book request form, which fittingly is the only room in which this rare floor plan can be drawn. Yes. Bookshop only available from the library. Makes me want to look at my chess piece notes for some reason. bookshop does not have a chess piece, I don't think. No, doesn't look like it. Okay. I don't know why I wanted to check that, but I did. The Armory, a stone chamber fitted with ancient weapons and armor from the Second Era. Interesting. This room appears to predate almost every other room in the house directory, and may in fact be an authentic floor plan from one of the lost strongholds of Arinda Ares. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And Mount Holly gift shop. Thank you for visiting Mount Holly. We hope you enjoyed your stay here. Yeah. Cool. And red rooms. Lavatory, a room one might go to great lengths to avoid showing guests, despite them always probing for its location. Again, always. Okay. Chapel, a private what is that word? I have never seen that word. Ever. Don't even know how to pronounce it. A sacristy. An apartment, inn, or a building connected with a church or religious house, in which the sacred vessels, vestments, etc. are kept. Interesting. A private sacristy, as ornate as the most lavish rooms of the estate, is watched over by 8 Aegeran angels depicted in stained glass. This room was more a tribute to your uncle's vanity than it was to his faith. Interesting. Okay. Maid's chamber, a typical example of the accommodations for the live-in staff on the estate. It appears this particular bedroom belongs to one of the maids. Yep. Archives. Countless shelves of documents and towering file cabinets make this otherwise immense space seem small and cramped. These archives contain almost a century of records and files pertaining to the Sinclair family's numerous interests, many of which are sealed and unable to be accessed. Interesting. Okay. Gymnasium, a half-court intended for basketball and racquetball, which is seldom used by anyone apart from the junior staff during their lunch hour. At least they did before Mrs. Babbage disallowed the practice after noticing how worn out staff members were after a game. Yeah, fair. Darkroom, a room dedicated to photo processing, development, and printmaking. This room is outfitted with safe lights, which provide red illumination to which the photographic material is insensitive. However, due to a faulty installation, the safe lights often overload their circuit capacity and blow a fuse. Weight room, an exercise room outfitted with weightlifting equipment. A good workout session here will wipe you out and leave you with little energy left for exploring. Furnace, the main centralized heat source for the estate. You may find yourself starting to sweat after drafting this room. Okay, additions. Dovecote, a towering loft serving home to many of the feathered locals of Mount Holly. As a devout birdwatcher and amateur ornithologist, Mary had petitioned her uncle for years for this to be built on the estate. So that was very much her preference. The kennel, home to several of Sinclair's hunting companions. It can be assumed these friendly hounds have been anxious to meet their new master. Yes. And there are 4 of them, and we know their names for some reason. Don't know if they're important, but maybe. Access to Mount Holly's clock tower has always been heavily restricted, which might explain why maintenance has been unable to mend the perpetually halted clock face, a testament to the unchanging winds of the sacred hour. Okay, so that is actually a hint to what the sacred hour is. In fact, it just kind of outright tells you. It says the broken clock face is always on the sacred hour. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Okay, and classroom. An exact copy of the floor plan used in the architectural design of Reddington Elementary. These copies were deployed in Mount Holly as a short-term solution to allow the curriculum to continue uninterrupted while the new school was being built in town. Okay, solarium. A quaint floral sitting room surrounded entirely by tinted glass panes. The solarium is ideal for tea in the afternoons or getting some sun without the hassle of going outside. Love a good sunroom in real life. Dormitory. These small sleeping quarters, devoid of frills and distractions, are ideal for the student, scholar, or denizen of academia who wishes to focus on their studies without diversion or interruption. Study and sleep, rinse and repeat. Vestibule. An ornately framed yet modestly sized hall, it had served as the original antechamber in the old days before eventually being removed from the estate for having doors that were prone to becoming stuck. Okay. And casino. The Mount Holly Casino offers an intimate and exciting setting for wagers of any scale, and guests may be surprised to discover how much strategy is involved in these machines, which are traditionally only thought of as games of chance. A buy-in of 2 gems is required for admittance into this exclusive room. How much strategy is involved? That's my question. I mean, you can stop some of the things from spinning, some of the slots, but other than that, I'm not sure how much strategy could really go into it. This one had Sacred Hour italicized, and this one had Always italicized. No, we're on found floor plans. Planetarium, a circular theater featuring a dome-shaped projection screen upon which the scenes of the stars and galaxies allow viewers to experience the splendor of the heavens. Shelter, an underground bunker located away from the main house. This fallout shelter was designed specifically for air raids and features thick walls made from lead and other materials intended to block radiation. A computer terminal within has been connected to the house's network system should an emergency necessitate remote access. Interesting. For air raids. Huh. Schoolhouse. Long before Reddington Elementary was opened, school convened in a single small building. As the student body grew over the years, the need for separate classrooms for each grade arose, and the Mount Holly Schoolhouse was officially closed down. Okay. Shrine. A sacred silence permeates this candlelit cavern, whose flickering lights add to the holy aura shining down upon a meditative statue. His stone hands present forth a stone bowl to the devout pilgrim who may wish to make an offering of gold. Okay. Root Cellar, an underground store of jarred vegetables and fruits from Mount Holly's gardens. It's always amazing what great things come from a little digging around in the dirt. Hovel, a squalid dwelling on the edge of the estate belonging to one of the groundskeepers. Trading Post, an outpost established on the outskirts of Mount Holly in the era before the New Realms. Oh yeah, I remember reading that, thinking that was odd. This station allowed the frontiersmen and trappers of these mountains to trade goods and services with the estate, the locals, and one another. How long has the estate been here? That's the real question. Tomb. This Sinclair family crypt is as gloomy as it is immense. The true Sinclair legacy lies here, resting underneath the stones, a parade of distant relations and forgotten ancestors. Interesting. I feel like that's the second time they've mentioned the true Sinclair legacy, right? Because if we look at the vault, yeah. Several inventories have led accountants to assume the true legacy is hidden elsewhere. I don't know if they mean for those to be related, but they use the same words, so kind of makes me think they are. Okay, and that's all of them except the Foundation, which I guess I will have to read whenever I am able to draft it again. Which next time I have the opportunity, I probably should go ahead and do that. I think I already got the tool shed. So I already got that going for me. And I've spent several hours in game just reading my directory, which is totally fine. That's how it goes sometimes. Still missing 5 trophies. One of them I get for getting the other 4. One of them I get for speedrun. 3 of them I get for starting new runs, like on new save files. So I think those will be coming at some point, but Probably only when I've completely run out of ideas for things to do here. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and do the den. And I'd like to count the number of clocks in here, just for fun. Okay, so starting from over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just 6 of them actually. I kind of thought there would be more than that, but there's just 4 on this wall, 1 on that wall, and 1 on this wall. Huh. I always felt like there were at least like 10, but there's just 6. Interesting. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay, we have... What would be good here? Probably utility closet, right? Or conservatory. Let's do conservatory. I feel like I don't choose that enough. Drafting locations. West Wing only. Garage. Makes sense. West Wing Hall. Makes sense. Hurley Chip's chamber from south-facing doors. Yes, we've done that now. East Wing only. East Wing Hall and master bedroom. That's right. Okay. And other special cases. Conservatory, only draftable in a corner. And bookshop, only draftable from library. Yes. We know all those things. So that is good. I don't think I have a shovel. I have a sledgehammer and a metal detector, and a lockpick, and a sleeping mask. Okay, and what can we do here? This is unusual. It's honestly not that great. So I wouldn't mind this being even more unusual. So let's do that. Gift shop being rare is fine because we never need it, although it is free. So maybe I could make it a little more common, just to have a free room that has 3 exits. Yeah, we can do that. And servants' quarters. Yeah, we want that to be probably the last bedroom we get, so honestly this could be rare. I also want to go ahead and read the descriptions of the different rarities. Commonplace floor plans are often classified by conservationists as the weeds of the drafting pool, for their overabundance prevents other, less common rooms from flourishing on the estate. Standard rooms are of the garden variety, not common enough to be a nuisance, and not rare enough to be elusive. Unusual is a term reserved for the floor plans that are encountered on occasion, the infrequency of which may contribute to their apparent prestige. And rare, flora and floor plans are seen so seldom and represented in so few numbers that they are considered by many to be endangered. Without serious conservation efforts, many of these rare specimens may never be seen. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I want to make this rare. And that is good. Floor plan conservation. Such an interesting way to put it. But I guess you gotta fit the theme of a conservatory. Okay, let's go across to the other side now. And yes, I would love to do treasure trove, especially since neither of these other ones give me resources. I guess boudoir technically gives me a gem, but I am highly valuing long-term progress right now, so whenever I see a treasure trove, I get the treasure trove. Okay, this is a black box with a sun. What does that mean for us? that means the memo inside will be true. Yep. Okay. Let's go for it. The true treasure of the trove is in this room, but is not in the house. Yes, that is something we put together from 2 previous notes in here. Because one of them said the true treasure of the trove is in the house, but we knew it was false, I think. And one of them said the true treasure of the trove is in this room, and we knew that one was true. So this one is just confirming that we were correct. And we already know from experience that drafting this room as an outer room makes this chest very different and seemingly not unlockable. So I'm not sure what it will take to unlock it. Maybe key 8. Now that I know that that key can be used for various things, that might be a good candidate for that, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we've got plenty of ways to go up, so this could be a good spot for a dead end. Yeah, sure. Probably don't want to spend any more gems unnecessarily. Compass. Nice. Sinclair, I just wanted to write you a quick note thanking you for the weekend. I had a thrilling time on the hunt with Lord Evanson, whose peculiar personality made me somewhat made up for your own absence. I also got to appreciate your new game in the billiard room. It's been ages since I've seen the billiard room in the house. I was beginning to suspect you retired the floor plan. It was well worth the wait, though, as I always enjoy your mathematical puzzles and appreciated that I didn't need to know the rules of darts to play your variation. Hoping your health improves shortly. KL. I still don't know who KL is. And I still don't really know who Lord Evanson is. Do I? Not really sure. Yeah, that's about all I can do in here. And I don't think there's anything else to read in here. That was a pretty explicit clue to, like, put that room outside the house, so glad I'm on the right track there, which I kind of already knew I was, but do I want to go ahead and spend a gem to get a walk-in closet? Seems kind of risky, but I feel like it might be good in the long run. Yeah, there's gems in here anyway. And a couple of dice, which is great. And a cupcake, which I think only really appears in this room. I don't think I've seen a cupcake anywhere else. So that's interesting. Anyway, if you can hear my cat meowing in the background, I'm not sure what that's about, but she seems to be concerned about something. Anyway, yeah, we can do parlor here. That's fine. Although I need to make sure to go all the way across from the conservatory. The gems are not in this box. The gems are not in the white box. The gems are not in this box. The gems are in the blue box. The gems are not in this box. The gems are in the blue box. Okay. If these two were completely true, the gems would be in here, and this one would have to be completely false, which is not the case. So these can't both be completely true. If they're not completely true, I think one of them has to be completely false, and I think the gems can't be in the blue box. So the gems are in one of these. How do we know which one, though? Oh, because of this one. So one of them is completely false. One of them is part false, part true. This one has to be completely true. Gems are not in this box. The gems are not in the white box, so they're in the black box. Yeah, cool. Okay. And then from here, we need to make sure to make it all the way across. So we'll have to redraw. That's fine. Security would probably be helpful to have at some point. So let's do it. Yes, coin. And something else. Oh, more coins. Cool. Staff notice. Effective the first week of December, payroll for all live-out and seasonal staff will be managed electronically. As your attendance will no longer be registered at morning roll call, it is doubly important that you do not fail to clock in and out at one of the electronic computer terminals on the estate. 2 of these terminals can be found at security, where the punch-out clock used to be, and in the laboratory. Any questions or concerns regarding this process should be directed, as always, to our house manager, Mrs. Babbage. Terminal password, Swan Song. Okay. Until further notice, the antechamber has been unlocked and access levers are no longer required to grant entry. That is false. Keycard access security doors are more likely to appear in the higher ranks of the estate. Likewise, as a redundant security measure, normal doors in the estate will also be more likely to be locked as you progress north. Okay. That makes sense from a gameplay perspective, and is true. Alright. Let's go ahead and do this. Nothing, that's good. Keycard system, I don't have a keycard, I don't have a utility closet, so let's set that to low. Set that to unlocked. And let's also go ahead and log into network. Let's see if there have been any announcements. Nothing. Schedule change. Right. As of November 4th, all work has been suspended. Yes. Okay. As of November 4th. When did H.S. Sinclair pass? Because I started on November 7th. Interesting. Okay. What do I want to do? Special orders. Sure. Let's keep doing magnifying glass for the time being. Just cuz. Man, my cat is going real crazy back there. Let's check the email just to make sure. And honestly, let's go ahead and read through it. 1987, we are no longer recording. There's good reasoning behind this seemingly unsound decision. Right. I wonder why Randolph Moore is the one conveying that message, though. Seems a little strange. Okay. Right. This is about the... (1987) installing secondary access levers. Oh, right. This is replying to this one. Potential security, vulnerability. Yes, antechamber lever in the weight room. He uses it less frequently. The weight room is mostly used for guests. So that poses a security risk, so they sealed it. I had to break down the brick wall, and they installed a second lever, which I think was in, I think that one's in the greenhouse. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if the reason the lever in the greenhouse is broken was Denny Ravain trying to like cover his tracks, like, oh, I can break this so no one else can get into the antechamber, or sorry, can get into, well, yeah, the antechamber in room 46 and find out what I did. I think that's possible. Red and blue memo sheets. Yes, puzzle in the clock tower. Yeah, okay. Anyway, no data transfers, that's fine. I don't feel like reading the glossary right now because I did a lot of reading already. So I won't. But I'll read some of them. Drafting. The action of selecting a floor plan from the 3 options presented to you after clicking a door is known as drafting. Okay. Just wondering because that was one of the italicized words in the directory. Okay, let's start an experiment. Why not? Okay, yes, let's go ahead and set one up. Yeah, we're still lowering the water. I think that's fine. And tomorrow rooms or bedrooms? Let's do bedrooms. Sure. I think that'll work. Anything interesting in the research logs? Probably not, but I'll go ahead and look. 7 successful triggers on the Apple one. 12 on the upgraded floor plan one. Yeah, I think that's definitely, well, 15 on the tomorrow room. 12 again on the upgraded floor plan. Yeah, so my best ones have definitely been upgraded floor plan and also tomorrow room. So maybe I should have chosen tomorrow room. That's okay. I don't think I need to trigger it that many more times anyway, so should be fine. We also have this, blue memos equals true, red memos equals lies, unless written by hand. Cool. We've got, what do we want to get here? Probably commissary is the best bet here, so let's do that. We also have coins to use. Okay, shovel, yes please. Set of gems, magnifying glass, and we might as well just buy all these. Okay. We want to keep going, so either pantry or security. And might as well do pantry. Yeah. I reread this in one of my videos, like I went back to watch it. But it's just talking about how they're spreading 15 different fruits that give 50 steps total. Yeah, and this also had the clue for whatever that was. Digging by the bridge, I think. Okay. I mean, parlors face the direction I want to go. But boudoir would kind of get me closer to my experiment objective, so I think I'll choose that. I also have plenty of gems. Okay. And there's a gem back here, and there's also a letter, which I also reread watching one of my videos. This is from Simon's father, Daniel, that is kind of more upset with Herbert for his attitude after the disappearance more than he is about the disappearance. Probably because Daniel kind of knows more about the disappearance than most people do. But he seems to be like, shouldn't you at least be kind of working towards that same goal? instead of just kind of like hiding out. That's what I got from it anyway. Yeah, let's go ahead and put a parlor here, I guess. They really want me to have one. I do have like 3, maybe more, in my drafting pool, so it's kind of on me. We also did not read this again. May the 2nd. Dear Herbert, it was a great honor receiving the invitation to dine at your estate with the Oldhams this past Thursday. If I'm being frank, it had been a while since we had been seen in decent society, and we were beginning to worry that my wife's wit had lost its charm. I have no delusions that my company is rival to hers. If I can refresh your memory, we both spent much of that evening discussing our mutual love of games and puzzles, and I had mentioned to you a rather singular parlor game I had played some years back involving 3 boxes of different colors. You had pressed me to write with the particulars of this game when I found the time, and I have included with this letter all the details you will need to share with guests should you be inclined to play this confounding game. Always your friend, M. Lowry. There will always be at least one box, which displays only true statements. There will always be at least one box, which displays only false statements. Only one box has a prize within. The other 2 are always empty. Cool. Has that always been the wording? Probably, but it feels a little different than the first time I read it, but the first time I read it, I was not absorbing quite as much of it as I probably should have been. 2 of the top statements are false. Only 1 bottom statement is false. The gems are in a box with a true top statement. The gems are in a box with a false bottom statement. Good grief. 2 of the top statements are true. Only 1 bottom statement is true. These are like kind of opposites of each other, which is interesting. And I think, yeah, they literally can't both be true. Like if the top statement on this one is true, the top statement on this one has to be false. And same with the bottom one, and vice versa. So, gems are in a box with a true top statement. The gems are in a box with a false bottom statement. Interesting. Okay. I don't think this one can be completely true, because then one of these would have to be completely false, which would inherently make the other one completely true, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think so anyway. So I don't think this one can be completely true. I also don't think it can be completely false. I think that means one of these has to be completely true and one of them has to be completely false. So which one is it? 2 of the top statements are false. Only 1 bottom statement is false. Let's assume that this is true. That would make the other 2 top statements false. It would also make the bottom statement on this one false, which would make the bottom statement on this one true. And the top one false. So the gems would be in here. Okay, good. I really didn't mind getting that one wrong, because I have plenty of gems, but I was pretty sure I had the correct answer there. We only have 1 key, so as much as I want to choose another bedroom, I think I need to go with breakfast nook. Just to make sure I can keep going. Oh, I forgot I had a lockpick, so it's probably not that important. But that's okay. How many doors will this have? Just 2. Yeah. Including the one I walked through. So pretty much the same as classroom. Let's go ahead and do mechanarium. I think that's fine. Okay, I can't pick the lock, so I have to use a key. That's all right. I really like the way hallway is oriented, so I will go with that. Okay, and let's go down. Let's go ahead and do boudoir to trigger the experiment. Reservoir has been lowered. Nice. Okay. Nothing else to do. I'm assuming this is the exact same letter. I don't know if I've actually checked that. Yep. I mean, it's still number 4. Yes. Okay. Let's keep going. Probably want either chapel or aquarium to make it further down. And we can do aquarium. I think that's probably more likely to have a key. So let's do it. Oh, it's also a bedroom. Don't know why I didn't think of that. Also, I forgot I bought a shovel at the commissary. Gotcha. So this is a red room. This is a bedroom. This is a green room. This is a hallway. And this is a shop. Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. And yes, let's keep going. Ooh, I don't like the way these are facing. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal either way. So let's go ahead and put workshop here. And there's a battery. Nice. We could probably make something. We have a lot of the stuff, so we can... In fact, is that... It's almost everything aside from like the lucky purse, right? Got compass, we've got battery, got shovel, metal detector. We've got lockpick. Got magnifying glass. Oh, we don't have a broken lever. That's right. If we had that, we would be able to make almost everything. Or almost anything, that is. What do I want, though? What do I think would be the most useful for me? Jackhammer is pretty nice. But I don't have a broken lever, so that's off the table. Burning glass, I don't feel like has a really good use unless I get a freezer. Which might be the case, I don't know. Dowsing rod I've never loved. Pick sound amplifier. Better lock picking. That's not bad, especially with very few keys. Detector shovel is also pretty good. Electromagnet is fine. I think pick sound amplifier is probably what I want. So let's do that. Just because I'm running low on keys. Greater chance of picking high sensitivity locks. Cool. Okay. Is there anything else I could make that I want to make? Electromagnet could be good. Is there anything I'm missing out on if I do that? I don't really think so. Or I could do... Well, no, I think burning glasses with the metal detector. Yeah, so let's just do this. Nice. That does make mechanical rooms more likely, but I think that's fine. Okay, and we can go back up to here. Alright, I guess Great Hall is really my only option unless I want to redraw. Theoretically, I should be able to unlock a lot of the doors with a lockpick. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to be able to make it out of the Great Hall. It's just a matter of what else I want to do. Let's just try picking the lock of all of these. Okay, that's 2. That's 3. That's 4. Yeah, okay. Pretty good. Nice. Alright. Don't think I've ever done that before. Unlocked every single one with a lockpick. That's pretty good. Yeah, I can skip that. Cool. That's the east lever done. Yep, that goes through. And 3 gems in here. Nice. Okay, let's go off to the right. Morning room kind of goes in the direction that I would like. And I've already done security and laboratory in terms of the terminals, so let's do this. Okay. Right. Baron of Mount Holly names nephew provisional heir, November 5th. Yes. Yeah, that lines up with the dates. Cool. Okay, ripe age of 73. After a prolonged struggle with a heart condition that had been kept from the public eye until his final days. Esteemed as a pillar of society and renowned for his penchant for crafting puzzles, source of endless fascination to our readers. His popular column, Baron Bafflers. That's fun. Reading of his will precipitated a flurry of speculation for his niece and presumptive heir. The much beloved and lamented Mary Matthew Jones has been missing, presumed deceased, for the past 6 years. Okay. Yes, that's... Yeah, 1987. Makes sense. Okay, Red Prince, Swimbird, a new clue. With her whereabouts unknown, it was Marigold's own son, Simon P. Jones, a lad of but 14 summers, who was yesterday named the provisional heir to the sprawling Sinca Empire. Okay. Last year's County Science Fair runner-up. Yeah, interesting. Probably not anything like hidden on here, but just wanted to make sure. Okay. Cool. And we can dig. Nice. I needed one of those. And salt shaker. Cool. Let's go down. Okay, can't go all the way across, but I don't necessarily need to. We could do utility closet to do some much needed stuff. Or we could do solarium, which could also be good. Let's do utility closet. Alrighty, we can do that, and that and that. Okay. And now we can head up. Okay. Didn't end up being able to pick all the locks in here. That's fine. Okay. What do I want? Probably Rotunda, since it would actually not end the run. So let's go ahead and do that. Not sure why I turned that, but that's okay. Okay, can't pick that lock. Ooh, foundation. And it's kind of faced in a way that I like. So let's go ahead and put that there. Alrighty, finally have a foundation again. And as such, we will read the description. The foundation, the cornerstone of the house, unvarying and unchanging. The foundation is one of the only constants in the estate on which you can truly rely. This natural cavity was hollowed directly out of the mountain itself, with its stone and earth walls displaying an underlying coarseness that the rest of the mansion conceals. Interesting. Okay. The word only is italicized. And if those matter, which they might not, but I do think it's interesting. We have only, we have rotunda, we have some other ones that I've already forgotten because I didn't write them down. I don't know if there are actually any on this page. No, I think there must have been, right? Always. Only rotunda, always. And there may not have been anything on this page. Drafted. The room before. Bequest. Not sure what that means. Yeah, don't know. Could mean nothing. I could just be desperately grasping at straws. Well, I am, but could be nothing more than that. Yeah, we can do this. That's fine. Let's do spare bedroom to trigger the experiment. Nice. Got some coins. Okay. Can't pick the lock. Probably should have looked at how many keys I had before just immediately doing that, but that's fine. Sure. We can do the laboratory here. Key card. Look at that. Okay, I don't think there's anything in here that I really need to read. This is Kimberly talking about how she's struggling to make it to the laboratory. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Can't pick the lock. Okay, what about... Okay, I can get through the foundation at least. Might be worth it to go back to security first. Which would take a while, but I could at least increase security since I'm running low on keys, as in I don't have any. And that would increase the number of doors I could open. Yeah, I think that's fine. I have plenty of steps, so I'm not worried about that. I could also go in here and turn keycard system back on. I don't know why, but I don't know if it does much more than just tell you the rarity of the different rooms, but I guess that's kind of helpful. Yeah, I think we just go through here. Yeah. Could probably just draft another security, honestly, but don't really want to. And it's not guaranteed. Okay. All the way through to here. Okay, and we will change this to be... no, we want it to be high. There we go. Cool. I guess I could check, while I'm here, the inventory. Okay, also very good. So that is fine. Now we head all the way back. Right, there is a note in here. A journey noteworthy. As you continue on your adventure, you may want to consider getting something to scribble down your notes and observations. A pad, scrap of paper, or perhaps most fittingly, a journal will prove to be an invaluable tool to you. A tool you will not regret having beside you on your journey. And beside is italicized because it's part of that one clue. Yep. Okay. Yeah, keep going. Actually, one second, I'll be right back for the third time. Okay. This episode has been going on for a while, so I probably need to start moving a little more quickly. Let's go ahead and go this way first. Yeah, that's good. And as much as I want to do mailroom, I really need keys, so we're going to do that instead. Right, automatically picks them up. That's good. Yep, lots of stuff just kind of hanging out in here. Nothing terribly interesting other than this model of something. Don't really know what it's a model of, but it's pretty cool. Could just be like a dollhouse or something. Okay. Let's turn this a couple of times. And then see if we can go up in here. Okay, could do planetarium and then maybe call it a day in there. I think that would be not too bad, actually. Let's go ahead and put that there. And we can, at the very least, dig and open the chest. Nice. That is what I needed. Okay. And I would love to find a telescope today, but that's probably not going to happen at this point. Unless I can somehow maybe get to Her Ladyship's chamber, and there might be one in there. That's the only situation I could see leading to that outcome. This would trigger my experiment twice, so I might as well. Reservoir has been lowered. And I guess that's probably the second one too. Yeah. Okay. That'll work. And let's go to laboratory. Yep, gotta use a key. That's fine. Dark room would be fine. I'd have to rotate the rotunda again just to be able to see in there. Which is not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. Okay, I think someone also left a comment that I could save 2 steps by maybe not going in there. I actually didn't read the whole message because I didn't want to be spoiled too badly, but they said something about dark room and saving steps. So I'm going to attempt to do this and see if it works. And again. And again. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can just trick it into not happening. And if it doesn't work, then now we know. So let's see. Okay. Yep, it worked. Cool. I did not need to save the steps, and rarely ever do, but I guess I know how to do that now. Okay. Really washed out picture. Slightly less washed out picture. Is there anything hidden in any of the pictures? There are a lot of the same one, just kind of like sitting around. Where's that picture taken? Is that the conservatory? Yes, it is. I see that in the background. Well, not with the magnifying glass, but you can kind of see the little drawing board there. And this would be the office being used by maybe Lady Arave? Not sure. Broken lever, nice. Another printed for Ladyship. I assume for one of her rooms in the West Wing. An enlarged print of the enclosed photograph. Last development was too dark. Yes, that was the code to get into the orchard. Which I probably should have gone in there today to read, but that's okay. Okay. Actually, I shouldn't have. I don't have enough time. Let's keep it going. Do I want a furnace? I don't think so. Not really. Do we want a pool? Also, not really, but... let's just put a hallway here. And let's, yeah, we can go in here. Okay, we have security, boiler room, or kennel. I think I've only opened the east door to the antechamber. So if we want to get to the other side, I think I'm going to have to choose boiler room. Which is definitely fine. Can go down and dig. Key, nice. And coin. Alrighty. I don't think I care so much about powering anything, so let's just head this direction. Ooh, none of them go across. I have not opened the south door. Yeah, I'll redraw. Ooh, the only one that gets me across is archives. I guess that's fine. Okay. Swimbird. Yep. Okay. My son was the one that got me to start writing. Never told the same story twice. Yeah, okay. Publisher and author. Detained by Red Guard. Caleb Manning and Philip White. Person of interest in the Trinsdale bombing that killed 4 people. RLCF. Definitely seems like they may have been framed for their political views. I wouldn't be surprised. RLCF, still don't know what that stands for. Who also call themselves the Children of Blackwater. Yeah, they deny it. 3 years ago, an associate editor with the company was arrested for criminal conspiracy. Split with long-term publishing partner Ruffington Press. Citing personal reasons, the announcement came after the arrest last week of fellow author and colleague Caleb Manning. Third prominent writer to distance themselves from the publisher. Which I think Ruffington Press, is that the one that denied her, like, didn't publish her, like, Red Prince book? Might be wrong about that. Last seen by a close friend around 3:45 p.m. on Friday, getting into a carriage after a late luncheon date at the 100 Bells Tea Room. Which is interesting, because I think there was a note in the basement that said 100 Bells at 5 p.m., which would be after her last sighting, leaving the 100 Bells Tea Room. I might have to find that note again. It's in the basement, but just thought that was interesting. Okay, here's the birth certificate. Yep, that's fine. That all looks normal. We also have this. Right, it's history stuff. 1886. Okay, so 1886 is when this era started. So for something to have been from a previous era, it would have to be over 107 or 8 years old. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, royal family's departure. They fled to Araja. We know this. Princess Caitlin J.R.E. And the princess would have been who? Would that have been Lady J.R.E.? 1924? Could have been. Because then when she was older, she would have had Lady Epson. And then, trying to think of timelines here. Yeah, I think that's about right in terms of like the timing of that. So Lady Caitlin J.R.E. would be Lady Epson's mother. Lady Epson would be Mary Matthew Jones's mother, and Mary Matthew Jones would be Simon P. Jones's mother. Okay. Sorry, I was not done reading that. Right. They are closing the railways. That's the, yeah, part of the sigil. Okay. That all checks out. I need to hurry up and be done. I didn't even try to pick the lock there. As much as I want observatory, let's do bedroom for the experiment. Reservoir has been lowered. Sounds good. Let's pick this lock. Sure, let's do courtyard. That's fine. We can dig. Sure, extra steps is always good. We can come in here, why not? Cool. Okay. Nothing, that's fine. Let's open this. Silver key. And a gem. Okay. Kitchen is totally fine here. Sure. Nice big window. Sure. Sure. Oh yeah, I guess aquarium also counts as a red room. And why not? As much as I want to conserve my coins, I think I might have enough. Okay. And what can I put here? Don't really care about any of these. So let's go with archived. All right, that works. Cool. And then there's just the boiler room left. So we'll head over there. Oh, you know what? I guess I could have this whole time just done this. Good grief. I just used it in the last day, so I don't know why I completely forgot about it again, but it's fine. I mean, I kind of want to make sure I can get to these last two rooms on the off chance that I can get some more bedrooms. Okay. And here, nursery or archived. Let's just do nursery. I think that's fine. Reservoir has been lowered. Sounds good. This one does not have a publisher listed. So I'm assuming Ruffington Red Publishers, or whatever they're called, did not publish this book. And I think they did publish Swimbird, which is funny because that one's about like being told you can't do stuff. So I feel like that may have been a jab at the publisher, but that's just my personal theory. Okay. Is there anything I can do? Not really. I've already done the treasure trove. I could just go back to planetarium and call it a day in there to get some extra stars, because I'm kind of trying to get towards 100. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. That'd be this way. And this way. I do have a lot of steps, so I could just like go exploring and read some more stuff, but I am short on time, so I don't think I'm going to be doing that today. But that's okay, because that stuff will still be there to read tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean probably a week or more from now, for me. Because that's just how things are right now, and that's okay. Because that's just the way things go sometimes. Okay, yeah, we'll call it a day. Got some extra stars, that's nice. Garden Hotel of Tomorrow. 4 green rooms, 9 bedrooms, 4 tomorrow rooms. Plenty of bedrooms, that's good. New room's 1. I guess the foundation counts as a new room. That's fun. Didn't think I'd be seeing that again anytime soon. Nice. Okay. We did read some stuff, so that was good. We learned a new Orogen word, rotunda, which I think will be very helpful for us, but we probably need to learn a little bit more. We got the treasure trove today, but kind of learned something we already knew, as is the case probably about 50 or more % of the time with that. So hopefully we can start getting some stuff that we don't know, but time will tell. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like or a positive comment, because that really helps me out. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!